Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming for our third and final evening of Boredom by Maxim Gorky, adapted to the stage by Dick Ziggin. And with this, thank you. It's a wonderful opportunity, three wonderful people that we'll be seeing. If this reading inspires you to start a revolution, please do so. As long as you please make sure your cell phones are off. So without any further ado, we present Boredom.
Hey there, folks. Nice turnout. Nice turnout. Sit down, sit down. A lot of you people probably already know me. For those of you who don't, I'm Tony. I was the head carpenter when we built Dreamland Amusement Park 2 years ago. This year I'm out of a job. And I'm sure a lot of you out there are out of a job too. It's alright. My dear, dear working class brothers and sisters, cashiers and carpenters of Coney Island, welcome to the December meeting of Amusement Park Workers Union Local 15. Let's hear it, huh? Yeah. It really warms my heart. It really does to see such a strong turnout on a frigid night in December. Our rich bosses, Tellu, Thompson, Dundee, and Reynolds are all out of town, off on vacation! What mischief? What mischief we might make if we were better organized in Coney Island, yes?
Yeah.
I call this meeting to order. I make a motion to dispense with the minutes, etc., etc., pay your union due, etc. Thank you very much. This month, we were going to plan the organization of the 300 midgets living in the Little Christian Village. We'll do that next month. Because tonight we have a special guest. Maxim Gorky, the famous Russian writer, the heroic Bolshevik revolutionary, as you know, is visiting New York this year with Maria Andreeva, a good woman, a revolutionary, and an actress for the Moscow Art Theater. As you know, they were recently kicked out of the hotel room. They've been staying out over at a good comrade's house out in Staten Island. They've been bored out of their minds. I invited them to come out to Coney Island. I asked them to speak. We've been goofing around with paper mache for some props, etc., etc. Without further introduction, I am honored to welcome Maxim Gorky and Maria Andreeva.
Yeah. We must begin now. We must begin now. I will send all autographs later. We must begin now. Thank you for coming. Oh, I feel like Columbus.
All of a sudden, abracadabra! When night falls, a fantastic city of fire rises from the ocean and reaches for the sky. Thousands of glowing sparks glimmer in the darkness, tracing the outlines of fairy tale castles, palaces, and temples against the black sky. It is like a cobweb spun of gold, quivering in the air, a translucent pattern of flames hanging motionless, admiring its own beauty in the sea. This city of fire is enchanting. It is magic. It is incomprehensible. It burns, but it is never consumed. If you could only imagine the heavens, the ocean, the city of fire, the sky above glowing in red, the waters below reflecting its brilliance, it all merges, it blends, it all melts into a fantastic cauldron of rich molten gold. Strange thoughts fill the mind at the sight of these lights. In the halls of these magic castles, there must be weird music.
We hear weird, heavenly music.
Soft music, proud music, music, the likes of which no man has ever heard. I imagine waves of melodies collecting the best thoughts on earth and throwing them out, shooting stars, dazzling sparks, dancing with one another, giving birth to new flames and new thoughts. It must be here, near this velvety darkness, that I imagine a huge cradle woven of gold thread and flowers and stars. The giant cradle rocks gently on the breast of the ocean. Here, in the city of fire, the sun itself sleeps until dawn.
Blackout. Lights up.
All of a sudden, abracadabra. This is real Gorky. The sun slaps a man in the face with the true facts of life. Daylight turns the city of fire and the magic castle into a handful of flimsy white buildings. The blue fog of the ocean mixes with the gray smoke from New York City. The white buildings are enveloped in a transparent veil. It all becomes a mirage. It beckons alluringly. The mirage quivers and promises something splendid and smooth. All of a sudden, abracadabra!
We hear an industrial city.
I hear a hum in the background. The city sounds fill the air, a loud, hungry roar. This is a ruckus noise. It agitates both the air and the soul. An endless bellow of industrial iron, the ugly sound of New York, the constant crushing sound of life after life being ground down by the power of gold, the cold, cynical whistle of the yellow devil. This is the sound that chases people away from an earth befouled by the stinking body of the city. And so the American people run and they flee to the beach by the sea, where they have built beautiful white buildings that promise them rest, that promise them peace.
Andreeva turns her back. Gorky continues in Russian.
They are fascist too! Phonies!
It cannot be translated.
Gorky goes to her and proposes in Russian.
I am seized with the desire. He is seized with the desire. We are seized with the desire. I am seized with the desire to live on this island. I long to go and touch the fabric and textures, to stretch out in the luxurious folds and feast my eyes on the wide horizon where the white birds dart about swiftly and noiselessly, where the ocean and the sky take a nap in the tanning rays of the sun. It sounds like a honeymoon. This is Coney Island.
This is Coney Island.
They cross to the desk. She hands him a newspaper and a magnifying glass.
Every Monday, the New York newspapers run headlines that proudly announce something like,
300,000 people visited Coney Island yesterday. 23 children were lost. There must be something doing down there.
He lights a cigarette. She steals it. She puffs it. She puts it out and tosses the cig into the spittoon. He retrieves it.
This is very expensive.
he is a savage. He is my savage. It is a long journey. It is a very, very long ride by trolley car through the dusty and noisy streets of Brooklyn before one sets eyes on the dazzling splendor of Coney Island. And indeed, from the very first moment a man stands before the entrance of this city of fire, he is blinded. The eye is assaulted by hundreds of thousands of cold white lights, and for a long time you cannot make out a thing for all this sparkling dust round about. Everything whirls and dazzles, everything blends into a whirlwind of fiery foam. The tourist is stunned, his mind erased by all this brilliance. All thought thought is driven out of his head, and he becomes a little speck in the crowd. People wander aimlessly, devoid of will, intoxicated by light. A dull white fog penetrates their brain. A feeling of greedy anticipation envelops their souls. Hypnotized by the glitter, the crowd of people pours like a dark stream into the dark frontiers of the night.
Gorky stands. Lights.
Everywhere you go, electric light bulbs shed a cold, garish gleam. Light bulbs are attached to the poles and the walls and the window frames and the roofs of the buildings. They outline the tall chimney of the power station. They burn every cornice. They poke the eye with a sharp needle of indifferent sparkle. The people blink and, smiling stupidly, drag themselves along the ground like heavy links in some tangled chain.
Gorky climbs the steps to the balcony. Christmas lights.
A man must make a great effort not to get lost in this crowd, not to be overwhelmed by his amazement, an amazement in which there is neither joy nor delight. But if a man has the will to individualize himself, he discovers that these millions of bulbs cast a dismal, denuding light, that, while hinting at the possibility of beauty, only illuminate the stupid, dismal ugliness all around. This magic city, a dreamland from afar, is revealed to be an absurd jumble of straight lines in wood, a cheap, hastily constructed dollhouse for the amusement of children. There is only an ugly variety to these many white buildings, and not one of them with even a suggestion of beauty. They are all built of wood and all smeared over with peeling white paint, which gives them all the appearance of suffering from the same skin disease. The tallest towers and the low colonnades stretch in two deadly even lines, insipidly pressing upon each other. Everything is stripped naked and robbed by the impartial glare of the lights, and the glare is everywhere, and there are no shadows. Every single building stands like some gaping fool with his mouth hanging open. People eat and drink and smoke, but the human voice is not heard. The air is filled with the hissing of the arc lamps, ragged fragments of music, that whistle of the peanut stands and the constant sputtering of the sausage counters. All these sounds mingle into an irritating hum, as of some invisible chord. And when the hum invades this endless chord, it sounds like a frightened whisper. Everything glitters. Everything is insulting. Everything dismal ugliness.
Gorky lights a match.
The soul is seized with the desire for a living, beautiful fire, a sublime flame that would deliver the crowd from their slavery to glittering boredom that deafens their ears and dazzles their eyes. One would wish to set fire to all this prettiness. One wishes to burn, to dance and to shout and sing and revel in a voluptuous feast of destruction of this deadly city of spiritual poverty.
Stop the riot! Stop the fucking riot! Burn this fucking building to the ground! Burn this fucking building to the ground! Get out! Stop the riot! Stop the riot! Burn it down! Burn it down! Burn the fucking building down!
300,000 people. 300,000 people. 300,000 people!
Hundreds of thousands of people cram into this city. They swarm in the cages of the rides like black flies.
Gorky begins to pantomime. Mantreva plays with dolls.
Pregnant women push on despite the weight of their bellies. Children walk about silent with their mouths hanging wide open. So wide-eyed, so dazzled. They look about them so intensely, so seriously upon this ugliness that they may mistake it for beauty, that my soul aches with pity. The men are all clean-shaven, not a mustache. They look strangely alike and are all serious and fat. Most of the men bring their wives and their children along. They regard themselves as the benefactors of their families. Or they provide the family with not only bread, but they also take them out to the magnificent shows. The men themselves enjoy all the glitter, but they are too serious to crack a smile. They keep their thin lips pressed together. They squint and they frown with the air of persons who cannot be impressed. Yet behind this mask of a man who has seen it all, one feels a burning desire to taste all the pleasures the town has to offer. And so these serious men, the benefactors of their families, trying very hard to mask the gleam in their eyes, clip up on the backs of the merry-go-round horses.
We hear carnival rides.
And carved elephants dangle their feet, swing their legs in excited anticipation of the wild pleasure found in flying over the rails. With a loud whoop, a ride will toss them up to the top, and with a whistle, they drop down again and whirl through the air. This particular bumpy journey completed, the men stretch the skin on their tight faces again and move the family on to sample new pleasures.
A weird light comes up.
The rides are without end. There on the top of an iron tower, two long white wings slowly flap up then down. At the very end of each wing hangs a cage. In each of these cages are people. At the end of each wing, and in these cages are people. When the wings soar heavenly skyward, the faces of the people in the cage grow painfully serious, with identical, frightened expressions. They stare in round-eyed silence as the earth shrinks beneath them. When the wing flaps down to the ground, all the faces blossom in smiles. There are always squeals of joyful delight. The sound reminds me of the merry yelp of a puppy dog when he is dropped on the floor after being held up in the air by the scruff of his neck. Boats fly through the air. Around the top of another tower, a third revolves and sets in motion some sort of iron balloon. A fourth and fifth, they all move, they all glitter, they all beckon the people with a silent shout of their lights. Everything sings, squeals, booms, and bellows, turning the heads of the people this way and that. They grow dizzy, they grow dull. Their nerves are exhausted and tortured by the maze and motion of the lights. Wide eyes grow wider, as if the brain were turning pale, drained of blood by the weird turmoil of all this white, glittering wood. The end result is boredom. The boredom that crawls out from under the rock of self-disgust, whirling round and around in a slow circle of agony. It drags into its melancholy dance tens of thousands of faceless, lost people and sweeps them up as the wind sweeps the rubbish on the streets, a random will-less heap over here, and then scatters them apart, only to sweep them together once more, together again.
Blackout. Lights up.
On the inside of the buildings, the people seek even more pleasures. But these are serious pleasures. Inside, everything is supposed to be educational. And what is the people's favorite attraction?
Let's all go to hell!
He opens two red doors on the stage. Red ribbons blow up from beneath the floor.
Educational terror. Educational punishment. Do not break the 10 Commandments.
He puts on a devil's mask.
Hell is made out of paper mache and painted dark red. Everything in hell is on fire.
Paper fire.
And the whole place stinks with a dirty odor of grease.
Hell is very, very badly kept. The village idiot should demand his money back.
Hell is found in a cave scattered with rocks. The room is quite dark, with a red light here and there.
On top of the biggest rock sits Satan, and is wearing a scarlet tights, and he's contorting his face into grimaces, rubbing his hands together like he's a man who just brought off a good business deal. I am thinking he must be very uncomfortable sitting on top of that pile of paper. The rock is cracking and it's bending underneath him, but Satan is a good actor. Yes. He pretends not to notice. He concentrates on his bands of devils below who are getting ready to torture the sinners.
Andreeva puts on her hat and looks in the mirror.
Over here, a young girl who has just bought herself a new hat and admires herself in the mirror. A couple of small and apparently very horny little devils sneak up on her from behind and seize her by the arms. She cries out, "Help me! Help me!"
But it's too late.
The horny little devils throw her into a trapdoor as she slides down a chute into the pit in the middle of the cave. The young girl, along with the mirror and the new hat, all burn in hell.
And a young man drinks a glass of whiskey.
He goes off stage and grabs a drink of vodka.
And those little devils grab the drinking man, and down he goes through another trapdoor in the floor of the stage.
Both Gorky and Andreeva stand in trapdoors.
It is stuffy in hell. The actors who play the devils are skinny and stupid. They are worn out and exhausted. The hours are long. The script is obvious. They waste no time playing any scene with the sinners. Sinner after sinner just tossed through the trapdoor like so many logs of wood on a fire. A few minutes of watching this educational show, and an intelligent man wants to shout.
Oh, enough of this bullshit! Let's go out and strike, boys!
Yes, let's go out and strike!
Yes, boys, strike!
They climb out of the trapdoors.
But the Coney Island public watches this horror in silence with serious faces. A hefty young fellow with curly hair, wearing a priest's collar, delivers a harangue in a deep voice of doom. Pointing to hell on the stage, he declares that if boys do not want to fall victim to the bow-legged Satan in the red tights, then they should not kiss girls to whom they are not married, because then the girls will become bad women.
Prostitutes!
You cannot say prostitutes. You cannot shout bullshit.
Prostitutes! Hypocrites! America! The 10 Commandments! Yellow Devil! It is a sin to kiss a young man without the blessing of a church, because little boys and little girls, will be born as a result of this. It is a sin for prostitutes to steal money from the customer's pocket. It is a sin to drink whiskey or vodka or liquids in general that get the juices flowing. Thou shalt not visit the saloons. Go to church. Church is better for the soul. Church is cheaper. Hypocrites!
He takes another drink of vodka.
The actor who plays the preacher talks in a weary monotone. He himself does not seem to believe in the kind of life he has been instructed to preach. An intelligent man is tempted to find the owners of this education amusement called hell and tell them.
Gentlemen, if you wish your morality play to have an effect on a young man's soul, or at least equal to the effect of castor oil, you must pay your preachers and actors more money.
All of a sudden,
An angel crosses the stage.
at the conclusion of this terrible performance, a disgustingly handsome angel appears from the corner of the cage, strung up by a wire, and it moves through the air across the entire cave, holding a wooden trumpet between its teeth that has been pasted over with white gilt paper.
Catching sight of the angel, Satan dives like a fish into the pit of the sinners. A crash is heard. Paper-mache boulders roll down against the other. The actors, playing devils, run off as fast as they can to take a coffee break. The curtain falls. The audience stands. They leave. A few, perhaps the brave ones, they could laugh. The majority are very serious. Perhaps they are thinking, if hell is so horrible, maybe it just isn't worth sinning.
We move on. In the next building, we are shown the world beyond the grave.
Badly dressed ghosts of the dead roam around aimlessly. You may think, you can wink at them, but you must not pinch them. Some of the ghosts have bad coughs. Some of the ghosts chew tobacco. Some spit yellow saliva on the ground. Many of these ghosts are clearly suffering from rheumatism.
We move on. In another building, we see the flood.
Did you know that the flood was sent to punish the people on earth for their sins? This building, that building, all the shows in this city have one purpose: to instruct the people how they will be punished after their death for their sins. To teach them to live this life on earth and to be humble and to be meek, to obey the laws, obey the church, obey the czar. Thou shalt not!
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 300,000 people in Coney Island! Thou shalt not realize that the overwhelming majority of the public is the working people!
But it is necessary to make money, Maxim. In every corner of the city of fire, in every corner on earth, the greed laughs at hypocrisy and lies. Of course the greed is hidden, and of course it is dull. But the greed, it is also for people.
For the people?
The amusement park is organized as a profitable business, as a means to extract a working man's pay from his pocket. The business has a passion for gold.
That is repulsive. It is despicable. It is a slimy marsh of glittering ball.
The people feed on it.
In America, the amusement park is the opiate of the people. The buildings on the right terrorize them from the horrors of external damnation. It is dangerous. The spacious dance halls on the left feature young women waiting in the slow circles for here. Everything about this establishment urges sin. For sin is pleasant.
Gorky kisses Andreeva passionately. They dance.
Blinded by the lights, tempted by the cheap, dazzling luxury, intoxicated by the noise, the people swing in a slow dance of weary boredom. Swing to the left and we sin with the merchants of vice. Swing to the right and we repent with the preachers of virtue.
Life is organized so people shall work 6 days in a week, and on the 7th day, sin! and pay for their sins, and then confess, and then pay for the confession. And that's all.
Lights up!
I have a dream. I have a dream this same night about a circus in Coney Island. Thousands of snakes in the grass. The sky swarming with flies, insects and serpents come through every door in the circus, and they turn into audience. This dream, please excuse. Before the show, audience loiterers in front of the animal cages, and they chew tobacco, and they spit. Boom!
We hear surreal circus music.
Music, ringmaster, spotlight. In the circus dream, the Russian actress Maria Andreeva, she plays a strong lion tamer with a chair, a whip, and a gun.
Loud gunshot, bang! Lights come up on Andreeva with smoking gun and with chair in her hands.
And the people in Gorky's dream perhaps do a double take and then walk away to another attraction in Coney Island, saying that's a dull animal. Oh, please excuse me. In Gorky's dream is a big Indian tiger roaring and snorting, teeth gnashing, paws slashing, ready to leap in the air and sink his claws into the flesh of Andreeva with her whip to tear her to pieces, to destroy her.
Lights out on Andreeva. Gorky leaves the stage, runs into the audience.
The audience waits. The audience wants to see blood. Yes, they want to see blood and they're waiting for blood. Not out of desire for vengeance, but out of curiosity. Yes, the audience desires blood, but the audience is afraid. But it both wants it and doesn't want it. It is a dark struggle within itself. It experiences a pretty good time, and the audience lives.
Andreeva cracks her whip and shouts like a mad woman. Gorky retreats to the back of the cage. He is sweating and relieved that in his dream he has survived. He smiles, he bows as if to an idol.
The audience shouts and claps its hands and sighs. But is it relief or regret? The audience melts into slimy marshes of boredom. In Gorky's dream, Gorky has too much to drink, and Gorky goes to the bathroom.
He exits the stage and goes to the bathroom. He yells out his lines in Russian from the toilet. Andreeva translates.
Wouldn't it be a comic relief to see a drunk with a funny face come rolling along, singing, shouting, happy because he is drunk, and sincerely wishing all good people the same from the bottom of his heart?
Gorky flushes the toilet and returns, drunk, wishing everyone Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Oh, in my dream, I am Santa Claus, conducting the band at the circus. The music is bad. The band is tired and worn out. I am swinging a baton over the heads of the musicians who do not pay attention to me. We are making music for beggars, for the amusement of slaves. And I grab the tuba out of the hands of its player, and I blow a long blast, long and loud, so terrible that all of the snakes, all of the insects run out of the prison, driven by the horror of my wild noise.
Andreeva leads Gorky to the desk. He sits underneath it.
Not far from the orchestra is the cage with the bears. One of the bears, a fat brown bear with little crafty eyes, sits in the middle of the cage and shakes his head as if he were thinking. I can accept this as rational. only if I am shown that it all has been arranged deliberately in order to blind, deafen, and deform the people. In that case, of course, the end justifies the means. But if the people sincerely come here to be amused, I have lost all faith in the mental sanity of 300,000 people.
In my dream, there are other bears in the cage. There's a mama bear, a papa bear, sitting next to each other, and they play chess. The baby bear expects nothing from this life, and he has decided to go to bed. We are performing bears. In the eyes of the audience, they loiter in front of my cage, and they jab me in the stomach and in the side, curious to see what will happen. In my circus dream, I am a performing bear. I do impressions of Lenin and Mark Twain and Rasputin and President Teddy Bear Roosevelt.
And the people in Gorky's dream perhaps do a double take and walk away to another attraction in Coney Island saying, "That's a dull animal."
Blackout! Lights up on Gorky and Andreeva clutching each other. Center stage. We hear organ grinder monkey music.
In front of the musicians is a post to which a pair of organ grinders monkeys are tied to by a thin chain.
It is the mother.
And her child, the infant, clings to its mother's breast.
The mother holds the baby in a tight embrace with one arm while the other is stretched out wearily with fingers crooked, ready to seize, scratch, to strike. The mother's eyes express despair. An anguished expectation of unavoidable insult and injury, a weary anger and resentment.
The infant, cheeks pressed against its mother's breast, looks out of the corner of its eye. Apparently, the infant has been filled with dread from its very first day of life, and fear has petrified within for the rest of its life.
The mother bares her white teeth. Not even for a second does she remove the arm that holds his small body next to hers. Yet with the other arm, she wards off continual sticks and umbrellas poked at her by the witnesses of her suffering.
There are so many of them, these white-skinned savages, men and women, with straw hats and hats with feathers. They all find it so frightfully amusing to see how skillfully Mommy defends her child from the blows.
There are so many of them, and each one of them is so anxious to strike, to pinch, to pull the tails of monkeys, to jerk the chain around the neck, that we cannot manage them all.
Now and again, the musicians turn the stupid brass bellow of his trumpet at the monkeys to overwhelm us with their deafening noise. The people laugh and they nod at the musician for approval. A minute later, he repeats his performance.
There are women among the spectators. Some of them mothers, no doubt. But not one of them utters a word of protest against this cruel fun. They enjoy it. The torments of the mother monkey, and the wild horror of the child.
They reveal a mark, Darwinian evolution chart with drawings of monkeys and men.
Next to the monkeys and the bears and the lions is the cage of the elephant, an elderly gentleman. He watches the public, and being a wise and sensible animal, he is thinking.
We hear animal sounds.
Of course, this is scum that has been swept together in the filthy broom of boredom. This species will not mock its own profits. So I heard the old elephant say, but I am sorry for the monkey anyway. I have also heard that these human beings, like jackals and hyenas, sometimes tear each other to pieces. But that's no solace for the monkey, for the lowly human, for the pig, animals. Forgive them, for they not know what they do.
Blackout! Boat and water sounds. Lights up on boat railing. Gorky and Andreeva both appear near the railing at the back of the theater with the boat.
Well, bon voyage, dos madanya. The boat is leaving.
Dos vidania. And so, not so suddenly, abracadabra, when the night falls, the fantastic city of fire blazes up from the ocean. It glows for a long time. Its beauty, its brilliance.
It's tens of thousands of great people with colorless eyes, creeping along like ragged clothes from a beggar.
They continue to sail the boat, slowly, back to Europe. They speak in Russian only. Her words are soft, his are harsh. As the lights begin to fade on the actors, the lights outlining the miniature city come up one more time. One last comment for Gorky.
One thing that is good for a man like me in this city of fire. You could drink your hatred to your soul's content. Hatred sufficient to last a lifetime. Hatred, my dear people. Hatred is the power of stupidity.
Blackout. End the play.